Now we're going to discuss about the injuries caused by the decrease in the temperature. That is the cold, which can cause different kind of injuries, which can hurt the body in different ways. And we're going to discuss all that in detail. So we are on the first section of this lecture that comprises of, as I've already discussed, the exposure and abandonment can cause exposure and abandonment to decreased temperatures for prolonged periods of time. We have to focus on that particularly. And then secondly is drowning of the body in cold waters for prolonged periods of time that can also cause injuries to the body in particular ways. And the most importantly, frostbite and trench foot. Now, how do we define frostbite? Frostbite is basically injuries to the body extremities. Injuries to the body extremities, and the basic pathological mechanism which it includes is the vasoconstriction, and that in return causes the thrombosis, which causes the frostbite in the extremities especially. The trench foot regards to the soldiers mostly because it involves the damp and the cold environments in which the soldiers are exposed for prolonged periods of time, for example, trenches, and that is why it is specifically called the trench foot. So starting on with this death in the cold water. Now, this is a chart basically and is showing the survival time. Now we're going to see the trend. Let's just go through it. When the temperatures are more than 70 degrees Fahrenheit, then the period of time is indefinite. If that means that if the water is warm enough, it can keep you warm enough, then the expected survival time in seawater especially, it is very specific seawater, not in the river water, not in the flowing water, where a lot of other injuries can cause death, whether it is indefinite of the temperatures in that case. So if the temperature is 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, the survival time decreases to less than 12 hours. And if it is 50 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit, the survival time is less than 6 hours in this case. Then coming on to 40 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, the survival time is less than 3 hours. Then again, if the temperatures are 35 to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, then the survival time is less than 1.5 hours. Lastly, and the most cutoff point that we're going to focus on is less than 35 degrees Fahrenheit. It means very cold water, very cold seawater. And in that, the survival time is less than 45 minutes. Now, the general trend that we see in this table is that the temperatures, as the temperatures decreases, the survival time also decreases. And so it means there is a direct relationship. They are directly proportional to each other. And when we see that the cutoff point is less than 35 degrees Fahrenheit. And after that, survival time decreases to less than 45 minutes. So this is a very comprehensive chart and it's very important for you to focus on it. Now, this is a diagram. This is basically some images which are showing the bodies which were exposed to decreased temperatures for a very prolonged period of time. And basically what we have to notice over here is the pattern of the post-mortem lividity. Post-mortem lividity is basically, how do you define a post-mortem lividity? Is basically these patterns are caused by the gravitational forces, and they are caused due to the stasis of the blood. Now, why are they medico-legally important? It is very important. Why are they medically, not only in these cases of hypothermia, but in all of the cases of death? They're important because they indicate the posture of death and the position of the body when the person was dying. Secondly, they indicate a lot about the environment in which the body was placed. And thirdly, and most importantly, they indicate the type of clothing the person was wearing when he was exposed. So those parts on which we don't see the post-mortem lividity indicate the tightness of the clothing. For example, the buttocks and the backs, on which we don't see the post-mortem lividity patterns. And they're really important in that case. Now, for example, this post-mortem lividity, when will you experience these patterns? not in river water, not in flowing water. Why? We'll not experience these patterns in flowing water because the gravitational forces won't be working in that cases. The gravitational forces will be working in stagnant water, for example, in seawater, in ponds, in lakes. So this is very important when we find a body and it has got post-mortem lividity patterns and we find it in river. That means that the body was thrown after the person was dead, because the post-mortem lividity had developed, and to mislead the police or the crime investigation authorities, the body was thrown into cold water just to mislead the investigation. So these are the things that we have to focus on when we come across these cases. Now, these are some of the things. Now, in the picture on the right basically shows a person with frostbite. Frostbite, as I've already discussed, it is basically on the extremities, and it involves the feet, the tip of the nose, ear, where the blood circulation is already compromised, and due to the decreased temperatures and the vasoconstriction, the blood circulation is furthermore compromised, and as a result, the frostbite occurs. So these are the things that we have to keep in mind while dealing with deaths caused by decreased temperatures. And this section was basically focusing on deaths caused due to decreased temperatures and how will we investigate such scenarios, whether it was post-mortem, whether it was ante-mortem. That is the most important thing. Thank you for watching sqadia.com.